Well, they're not. Wait, so maybe it was for you? 5 years older than me. Yeah. Listen, he's going to work. Oh, so now he's
So Gabe, I think you're going to be just a live pitch and then second man him.
Well,
Is that
I don't mind. Take care of myself, son. I'm a real nigga. This one might work. This is mine. You think that would work? Dad. I got Dad. And I got him right there. Oh, so let's see. Hey, Dad. Let's try the name Tony. He's 70 years old. So if you put your hands on him, he can't do nothing about it. The police can't. The police won't touch you, Dad. He is a lying piece of shit, Dad. Yeah. Never ever want to turn like that. Yeah. And I have a duffel, I just don't have a heart. You see? I'm not interested. I don't take tricks. I make fun of you. I think I'm going to roll to my dad don't handle you. They come with Look at that. Looks like we have to put the tape on I got this from Atlanta. So is this yours? Rubbish. We don't have as many. Really? Oh, okay. Okay. So makes sense. Okay, okay. Yeah, cool. That's so funny. Oh, okay.
All right, so for those of you who did not catch the short that I posted this morning and other videos, what's happening right now is that Judge Arun Subramanian is finalizing jury selection. So jury selection is expected to be finalized today, and also we can expect opening statements to start today. Victim number 3, which has now been identified as Gina Hoon, the ex-girlfriend of Diddy, is still MIA. Okay, the feds are still claiming that they're unable to get a hold of her, reach her, find her. I find that hard to believe because the feds can find anybody. But what has been stated thus far is that the prosecutors have said that they don't plan or intend to mention victim number 3 until after opening statements, and so they are still trying to reach her, and she can always testify later. We don't know if Diddy got to her. We don't know if she was paid off, if she, for whatever reason, is backtracking or afraid for her life. But she seemed pretty adamant that she wanted to testify. Not only did she want to testify, but she wanted to testify under her own legal name and not utilizing a pseudonym. So now that the fact that she is still missing, well, it's a little suspicious. I don't know about y'all, but I'm suspicious. So that's where we are right now. Diddy did attempt to get his iCloud evidence, the evidence that they got from his cell phone, his computers, 2 of his iPhones, and some of the most damning evidence. He did try to get that suppressed, and that was denied by the judge. So all evidence, including the Cassie video, is being allowed. And so we'll be covering this all day, and I'll be coming back with periodic updates. And of course, wishing everyone a happy Monday.
But I was also there for the Bananas Brothers, so that was cool. So what I did was. Oh, yeah.
Call Me Darling says she's been interviewing and running her mouth for years. Why hide now? Not sure, and that's why it's a little bit suspicious. Did he find a way to pay her for her silence? Was she threatened? She again seemed very adamant that she wanted to testify, and not only testify, but under her own name. We know that victim number one is Cassie Ventura, so we have that down. Victim number two, I believe, is being allowed to utilize a pseudonym. Victim three is Gina Hoon. There is a surprise testimony or surprise witness, victim number five, who we believe to be, I'll be sure, because they're saying that the testimony that he's going to bring forward, or this witness, the testimony that victim number five is going to bring forward, is more so a testimony about crimes that Diddy was not charged with. And so the only person that I can think of would be what happened with I'll be sure. So make sure you check out my video. I did a short video on what happened to him when he was in a coma, and there are pictures so you can see the condition that he was in. And I imagine that those pictures are going to be shown in court as well. And so again, this is just evidence that is being allowed to support what is being said by other victims. One of the victim is an ex worker of Diddy's, ex-employee. And yeah, he's been, I'll be sure, went on at least one news station talking about his story. Some people have said he's just trying to promote his book. But as he said, he is the last one alive that knows the truth in his words and knows what really happened. He is the last one alive. And if you ask my opinion, just my opinion, I do believe that harm was done to him in an attempt to delete him, unalive him, so that no one would be left alive who really knew what was going on and who would talk. So we'll see what's going on. But leave your comment in the chat. Subscribe to the channel so that you can participate in the live chat. And as I said, updates will be coming forward.
Oh, his hit is around too? Okay. Yeah, I don't know you. This must be an old one. Estoy esperando. Tengo hambre. Two. 2 o'clock in casa, and you know. So yours is a 2? So yours is a 2? Go get us some coffee. Exactly. I'll get you guys some coffee. Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. I got you.
I just saw 20.
Yeah, no, it's good.
No, are you okay?
It's a cold water. Yeah, cold water.
maybe she forgot. I don't know. So now I'm 12:30, so I could have got you. I'm gonna go pick up the Jackery. What's it called? Jackery, whatever it is. Jackery. So yeah, so I'll come back. We'll make sure you're good. I don't know why it's about 4:30. Maybe I'm just saying. I don't know what's going on. Don't tell me. I think I should know. Yeah, I've got.
Where anybody to get through all the way down here? Oh, down
Oh
here?
my God.
Yeah.
I've been sitting there waiting on a line this whole time, and there's not any line.
Nothing?
People just don't sit in there. Yeah, she never opened it.
Alright, I'll be right back. I'm borrowing from the flag. Good. They sent me and I was like, I'm pretty chill, like honestly, like just chilling on video much. So they just use it when they're like the other guys are busy. You should be comfortable. Okay. Wait, where'd you find it? Oh, it was in the box. This is why I don't do this stuff. I'm not thorough. I mean, when someone says in the backpack,
Would be obvious. Yeah, I thought it would be obvious.
don't do it upside down. I've done that before. You don't laugh. Don't laugh. I was like, so then I zoomed in.
What's the problem?
So when I saw that, I zoomed in. Shit. I was like, the was like, why are you so way close? I'm like, look. She's like, oh, okay. Anyways, I said, I'm their detail.
So that's what I am. I don't do this shit every day.
Okay, good. This is horrible.
I can't do this every day. I commend when the guys are busy or on vacation or whatever.
I ran out of juice on my phone by 11.
You know, like dealing with homeless people, people like
Cold, right?
so our anchor, we've been doing the studio. We're not this small. So we're doing that.
You got that itch?
Yeah, why?
Yep. I had that itch last Monday, and it wouldn't go away for like 5-10 minutes.
Is it allergy?
Yes. Yeah.
I might say
It's bad.
I get the allergy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah. So we got studio.
Oh, great.
So now he's on the field. We're not cooked for that. We took everything that we had EG wise. So yeah, he's there right now. Yeah, you're right, man. Crazy.
I don't know what it is. There's something in the bushes or something around here. It really gets to me too.
I might have to get some allergy stuff. I'll get Benadryl so I can be knocked out, right?
I love it. Okay. No one has brought up from working in Canada for students 20 years ago at this point. So I just probably tried to sell it. We'll say 15. We'll say 15 ago. And then she worked for a while. And so I was part of some layoffs recently. So I reached out to some for what it is that it is better. So whatever job that I put in to do, like so long, like job market period, my house office, so whatever it is, I have to do it. So always. Always. Yeah. That's not my life, unfortunately. Like, I do everything, like, camera, dinner, and then how many do you do a day then? Usually, like, every hour. Oh, like, for dinner? Yeah. Okay. Recently, over 2 years, yeah.
Cameraman coughing all up in the microphone. Somebody get him some cough drops. And I don't know who that was talking about he got that itch. I had that itch last week. Ugh, I don't know what the hell they talking about. But you see how loud it is? Now you understand why I moved out of New York. Imagine listening to all that noise all day long. And someone asked about the kids. So, in New York, you don't really, all these public schools, they don't really have like playgrounds and stuff. The kids play in the street. So, not in the street with traffic. It's not what I mean. But they're literally playing like in an enclosed area, but it's like right on the street. So certainly my school, we during recess, we blocked off our street to traffic so the kids can play. And then after recess was over, they took away the blockades. But we literally played in the street. We didn't have anywhere for a park or even like a little gated section, like some of the nicer schools. And so those were probably kids at recess playing on their street.
Man.
No, no. Okay. What was it? So a lot of it's not just like the mental ability of the writer and smart thinker. It's right. It's also like, do I have my portable charger? Is everything charging? Like, did this sign knock out my charger?
They're
And now I'm
emotionally disturbed. They should not be on the street. Even without medication, they probably should be institutionalized.
yeah.
And we'd have a much better, much safer city. However,
Oh, I've seen it.
the ACLU believes that everybody's got a right to be on the street or sleep on the street or live on the street if they want to. And that's why we live in the world. So we're caught in that, seesaw.
Always use it find my phone. Yeah.
But it's humane to keep somebody outside and to take a little,
I'm gonna bring something.
and they don't know any better.
Store.
They just stay in the park bench and attack them because they're angry and they're off their nuts.
But that's the way like it is. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Notepad, pen, highlighter, charger. They have that here for me now, so I don't have to worry about that. But I was like, snacks. Don't just have this like this time to remember. I can have a my charger that's plugged in. So that by 11, I was at home. So they're like,
Okay. Have they seen you yet?
So it's just like basically knowing other people who are like, it was so nice. Relationship is not like yeah, I don't know.
Here.
Don't fix yourself.
No,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. It's going to happen. I forgot my camera. I just went back.
Oh, okay.
Be all right for right now.
So many details when you're out there alone. Is it just nerves? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm set up in the pen across the
Yeah, it's
street.
just like I won't tell anyone. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, keep coming down. Keep coming
Like
down.
early on too, where it's more likely to happen because of the nerves, and that's like the worst time if you're like trying to leave a good first impression.
Yeah. So I was like, I think like can't remember the most basic thing.
Oh, 5.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, especially when you're holding it and you're like so confident.
Which one is your camera?
Oh no, the interview was the worst. And then you're like having to be embarrassed and be like, oh, yeah. That's why, yeah, you always have to be hawk eye on that before stuff.
I have like a I just run through my head like if I'm setting up who I have everything that I need to set up.
Yep,
Like I run through my head, I have the lights, there. You see them right there. It goes to the camera.
Hey Shannon, yes I can. You can ask me, like how did he appear, and like if there was anyone in the courtroom supporting him, you can ask me that. Yeah. Well, I wasn't in the courtroom. Yeah, I could see him on the video. Yeah, and his family was all there, and his mom and all that. Yeah. Whew.
Got a whole lot of land to discuss in common. That's my
Okay,
joke right
sounds
there. Y'all got it coming.
Like my car, and someone like shot at her. And she said she was like, "How was the character?" It was like,
He's not guilty. Diddy's not guilty. Diddy didn't do it. Duh.
You gotta
Diddy
love New York.
didn't do it, you damn dummies.
You gotta love New York City.
Dummies, dickheads, and dykes. Diddy didn't do it.
Somebody should interview the dude across the street from the courthouse screaming Diddy didn't do it. You gotta love New York. Only in New York, okay? I don't know who the brother was, but he claims Diddy didn't do it. So apparently he was there.
Opening statements are ongoing, and now those 12 jurors will decide if Sean Diddy Combs will be convicted of sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution, and RICO. Now, in those opening statements, the government has said that Sean Diddy Combs allegedly had free
Man, we got a problem. Diddy didn't do it. And when he walks out of the courtroom, a free man, the United States will no longer exist.
And we said that prosecutors also made it clear that
when Diddy walks out of court, a free man, the United States no longer exists. New Constitution, new flag. The White House shall be painted black. And we are not waiting for no election day.
Sexual preferences. They said that it is not the jury's right.
We're not waiting for no election day. We are already 90% of the population.
They admit that the video that we've all seen of Diddy assaulting.
We know our vote don't count.
Hallway. They admitted that was domestic.
I don't blame them for turning off the sound. Like, we're getting a nice clean update, and dude, you were just messing up everything. Call Me Darling said, that's why I'm so happy I work from home and not in the city daily with the crazies. Well, that's why I'm not in New York. Let's see if we can find out a little bit more about I didn't pause the audio, so let's find out if we can find out more about some of these opening statements and what the federal government is alleging. And yeah, this guy is totally disturbing the peace. He's making it very, very difficult for us to find out what's happening and for reporters to report. But that's New York City for you. Okay, cameraman might want to move to another location. I'm just saying. Somebody doesn't look happy at all. And see, this woman here actually has a real press pass because that's what they look like. So I'm not sure if she's having a discussion with the cameraman and what they're going to do in terms of loudmouth over here disturbing the peace. But the interesting thing is that they anticipated that opening statements were going to begin this afternoon. And as what we've just been told, or what we heard in the background, is that opening statements have begun, jury selection has concluded. And so I don't know if we're going to be able to find out a whole lot about these jurors, but again, this is going to be interesting. So, there'll be some updates later on this evening in terms of what happened specifically in the courtroom today, what the federal government is alleging. But in the meantime, We're just going to press on with some of this live courage, right? That is what Diddy's going to need right now. He's going to need live courage, but to see what we can find out in terms of what's happening.
Sorry, what did you say? Someone else started. What did you say? Yeah. Okay.
Loudmouth is still yelling. It's because freedom of speech, right? He can say, he can be loud and scream and holler, but as long as he's not putting hands on anybody, yeah, they're not going to. Now, if he's up in the reported spaces and spitting and that can be seen as assault, and so he'd be arrested for that, but not just for like hollering and screaming. He would not be arrested for that.
Smoking weed.
Yeah, I'll send her.
Dennis Byron is out there. Did you see him? Here, let's see if I can point him out to you. All right. So I think that's him right there on the right with the backpack. He's raising his hand up to his camera right now with the white pants. Because he just showed footage of two ladies leaving the court, and that was the same thing we're seeing. So that is Dennis Byron right there on the right with the backpack. Okay. Can't miss that bald head. So gotta let Dennis know Dennis is on camera. Yeah, he went live earlier and he's live right now. Yeah, I believe he is still currently live right now. Where he's positioned is not in the best spot because he's got other cameras right in his view. But he's out there. He's out there. So that's him on the right side of the screen. Okay, where you just saw the Camilla Torres bus go by. All right. So yeah, he's there. He's out there. Yeah, it may not be so easy to see, but
Yeah, I saw.
what I am anticipating is that Diddy's gonna end up putting his foot in his mouth. I think the defense needs to make sure that he keeps quiet, that he lets them do the job that he paid them for. Because Diddy has already said some things that have had a negative impact. So, as I said earlier in the video that I dropped, Diddy was trying to get vehicle evidence suppressed. I said vehicle evidence. That's a different trial. He was trying to get the evidence that came from his iCloud, from his phones, and things like that. That is what he was trying to get suppressed, and to no avail. So all evidence is being allowed. The video of Cassie is being allowed. The evidence that they pulled from his phones, from the two cell phones, and from his iCloud, his cameras, all the camera footage, because Diddy had cameras all over his house, watching and spying on. Yes, call me darling. Yes. With the white with the white pants. Yes, he definitely has a great shot of those doors. I'm watching both. Yes. She said he's got a great shot of those doors. I'm not exactly sure why that spot was chosen, but maybe it was to avoid what this camera person, because it could be a woman, I'll say camera person, is dealing with, is with the cars going back and forth. But at least you're watching something besides people walking in and out of the courthouse. This is the only place where you can have cameras, and so, watching these videos is making me miss home just a little bit. Not the noise, but I grew up in this neighborhood, and for 3 years I worked right across the street from that court. As a matter of fact, I could look out my office window and look down, and that area is prone to protest. That is like a chosen location when it comes to protesters, and so yeah, every day was quite interesting. Trying to be on a Zoom call with people chanting stuff outside. It was fun, but not fun. So yeah. So now, well, the cars are obstructing, but you see the woman in the pink. If you scroll over to the right, there's a woman in yellow, guy in black with a black shirt. And if you scroll over, the little beady head right below this white umbrella that someone put up, yeah, that's Dennis. Not sure who he's talking to. He's probably interviewing someone. So yeah, but yeah, I will not tap into his feed because I did not talk to him about that previously, didn't get permission. And so out of respect, we will not tap into that feed. Some of you guys are watching both, and so you'll get two different angles and perspectives.
Australia. Exactly. That happy there? This much money, a house, move to Australia, and they're going, all right, I'll do it. Not. Oh, I remember. Now you broke the union. Remember they were in Australia? He said that in 3 months, he said, unless they really start changing things, I only think most people look at it in 3 months. It's going to be really hard to do. Like, instead of paying $300 twice, yeah. And when you look at it, remember, I don't remember, but, you look at the you put it up 60, people flying 60. It was sure. It was really nice to fly.
People dress up for it. And you got this meal, like Thanksgiving meal. They charge you $4 for water.
Some places charge for water, yeah.
Oh yeah. Cheap as airlines spirit.
I'm surprised that it happens anymore. Well, the lost communication, they did ground halt the gate
Again, for the third time.
They lost communication flights. They had to shut everything down. Atlanta didn't change state.
Last week was 90 seconds. All the screens were black. So, imagine you're a trader. Like you have 4 screens. You just go black. You get another notification. Okay, stuck, whatever. Nothing has died, right? But then you're talking about people. 90 seconds.
Or turn off all the red lights and the green lights in Times Square and see what happens.
Yeah.
90 seconds.
Chaos. Complete chaos.
So, Pedro, so what time are you there? So, right after the lunch. Yeah. Oh, okay. No, but maybe before that carnival.
They must have some real comfortable shoes on because they're going to be standing out there all day, all day. I mean, I believe court finishes around maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock. So whoever's out there has got about almost 5 more hours of standing on their feet out there. So yeah, I gotta give them credit for their tenacity. And just so you know, for those that do make it into the actual courtroom, those people are out there online from like early in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. They're starting to line up just so that they can try to get a spot in the courtroom. So if you're watching and you're in the New York area and you don't mind getting up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to get downtown to stand in line, you can sit in the courtroom. You just can't have any cameras, cell phones off, all those things. I don't know if they're confiscating cell phones if anyone brings them into the building or how they're regulating that, but
You're patient. You're a patient guy. I just got more overtime for me. It drives me fucking crazy. It does, bro. It like
They go with whatever for CNN show that.
dude, in the days of the
Instead of like you commit the story.
in the days of the
Rebecca.
we're on a flight to go to Canada. So it's an international flight. I had to get there 3 hours early. Check all my gear in. I finally get on the plane.
Excuse me? Sorry, guys. Bring in a reporter. Yep. Thank you.
Yes, Dad. Literally sitting on the plane. She says, "You need you to get off because she's breaking news." But we're in the air. She's like, "Yeah, turn it off." I go, "I'm on the plane. Just close the door." I can't get off.
That's a check.
Tell them you get off. It's an emergency. And I go, I can't. It's closed. Once it's closed, it's closed. Plus, I have all my equipment downstairs. What am I gonna do? Get there and like draw a picture for you? What's going on? She's like, "Well, you need to get off that plane." I go, "I can't." I go, "They're telling me to turn my phone off. Sorry." Boom. Yeah.
That's it. I'm going to Canada.
I flew to Canada, got there, and by the time we got there, they were like, "Yeah, just go ahead and do it." So there you go. Literalmente me quería. Ya había cerrado la puerta. Make up your mind. You miss something, then okay, then bite the bullet. You screwed yourself.
Birthright. I love it. I love life so much.
Like with the Pope.
What? That's my favorite rabbi.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, you like see.
After that, I told him, you didn't even take it because it was already church. You just focus on just being around that area. No, we need to cover this. I stopped suggesting it on the day that he actually was always first in the snap. Oh, what did you give me?
White smoke, white smoke.
Yeah, there's white smoke. White smoke. We had to get our papa.
How soon can we get to the 16th chapter?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You know how many you have?
The thing is, like, once you look at the story, that was never unless it's breaking news, big time. They don't mess with us. And we call them in. Listen, this is breaking news right now. What do you? Oh yeah. We'll be like, you know what? No, my water. Pero no, yo era inmigrante, go interview the guy.
Those are my last days. That's why I was like, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. I need the money, but I can't deal with it. I don't want a heart attack. Right, you need my health better. You can't do it without your health. deadline? Is that the question? Man, yeah, the deadline's super fuerte. Bueno, is that once you're committed, that's it. There's nothing you can do. Right. Or else they're not getting their 2 minutes.
Yeah. No, we
Y también todavía todavía cosas al último momento, and they expect the package to be in and out. You know, it's like killer, bro. No, it's good. It's good. Go for it.
hard for me. It's harder for freelancers.
He's got a system already.
Call Me Darling said that the reporters are like vultures. She heard some people saying that they were there at 2 a.m. and there was already a line when they got there. So it looks like people are starting to line up maybe at midnight. I take back what I said earlier. I said, 5 a.m. If you're getting up at 3 a.m., you're already a few hours too late. So yeah, it looks like people are camping out probably at midnight, heading over there and they're trying to be in line at midnight. Uh, yeah, I mean, those that live in the area, that's easy to do. You just, this is, I don't know if you guys realize, but this area, you've got the court buildings, and this is the financial district. But if you just go like a 5 minute, depending on how fast you walk, for me, it would be 5 minutes, but for most people, maybe 10 minutes. So let's say a 5 to 10 minute walk just up the road, you're going to hit a major residential area. You have the Smith Projects, you have Mariners Temple Baptist Church, you have Market Street and Catherine Street, and that is like the border or the beginning of Chinatown. It's in the area known as Two Bridges because it sits in between the Manhattan Bridge and the Brooklyn Bridge. And so the courthouse and everything is they call it the financial district, but it's right on the border of Two Bridges. So if you've heard of the South Street Seaport, that's just, one block over towards the water and just, walk down a little ways. But you have a large residential community within walking distance. You have a number of churches within walking distance. And so, those who live in the area, I'm sure some of those are the first ones that are online. And then of course you got some nosy people that'll walk right across the Brooklyn Bridge. Okay. Come right from the Brooklyn side. And when they come off of the bridge, they're just right around the corner from these gold doors. So yeah. So if you're trying to get out here, you want to see what's going on. There is a possibility that at some point during this trial, I may be in New York. So I'll let you guys know. I'll surprise you. I'm not making any promises, but I'll see what I can do. It's just going to depend on a couple of factors. But yeah, this trial is going to be going on for, they predicted, about 8 weeks. And so we're in the middle of May. So we're talking about sometime in the middle of July. So yeah, there's a good chance that, could be out there. I'm not standing out there in the hot ass sun all day. I'm telling you that because it gets hot. I don't know what the weather is like right now, but when in the summertime and the sun is beaming off that asphalt, yeah, it gets really hot. You can feel the steam coming up off the ground. It's no joke. And don't walk over one of those subway grates, okay? Besides the fact that if you're wearing a skirt, it's probably air is gonna blow up your skirt as the trains are running underground. But it's hot. It's just hot air. And let me just say this: one of the worst experiences is being in New York City in the dead middle of summer. So let's say like middle to the end of July when it's really, really hot and you're in the subway underground, okay, sweating like a 5,000-pound person, okay? It's not, it smells, it's not pleasant, okay? It's nothing like what you see on TV in these reality shows. New York is loud, it's noise, and it's bad smells, okay? But if you're a party person, if you're a shopper, okay, if you just, you like the lights and you're, about all that, then have at it. But everybody and their grandmama is out here trying to either walk in front of these cameras so they can be on TV or get inside the courtroom. Okay. And I'm pretty sure they're doing crowd control because there's probably many more people behind where this person is standing. So,
Will go to prison for sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation for prostitution. Sean Diddy Combs was in court today wearing a beige sweater, dark glasses, his hair visibly gray. Listened intently as the jury was selected in his opening statements for me. Prosecutors say Combs forced two women, his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura and another woman they called Jane, into dozens and dozens of what he called free calls.
okay, so we actually were able to hear a little bit of what's happening inside the courtroom from a nearby reporter. And what she said is that Sean Diddy Combs was wearing a beige sweater. Okay, so he finally changed his nasty clothes. All right, he is not wearing the same outfit. If you notice in the pictures that are on the bottom right hand side of your screen, Diddy is wearing the same thing in every one of these photos. And these photos were taken on different days, which means all last week he wore the same thing and he got the nerve to be wanting to hug on people. While he was wearing a beige sweater today, he was wearing glasses. Okay, which we had not seen before except for one day where he was taking notes. His hair is visibly gray. And so far, the prosecution has talked about or stated that Diddy coerced two women, Cassie Ventura and another victim who's just listed as Jane Doe. I believe that to be victim number two, because she's, I think, the only one that's been given uh, anonymity. And so, good to hear that Diddy changed his clothes. Um, he's graying because this is taking a toll on him. And yeah, the prosecution and they're coming right out the gate with he coerced women, he coerced victims. And when you have the kind of money and power that Diddy has, that's not hard to believe, right? So if their not defense, but if their argument is coercion, it's going to be hard to um, it's going to be hard to get the jury to not believe that beyond a shadow of a doubt, or to have any kind of doubt. All it would take is a little bit of doubt. It would only take one person to feel that no, he didn't coerce them, but he had every means of doing so. So going to be interesting to see how Diddy's defense team is going to respond to that. We know that one defense that they were talking about, and the card that they're likely going to pull, is going to be to try to discredit the victims. They've already started trying to do that with Cassie by saying that she also committed domestic violence against Diddy as well. So now Diddy is a DV victim, right? He's saying that he's a victim of DV. Cassie was arrested for putting hands on him. Well, you know what? Kudos to Cassie for finally, standing up and trying to whoop your behind, because look at what he did to her. Okay, it's not unfair that she would try to fight back and she could claim domestic violence. I can't imagine that she just got angry for no reason. He took her out to Ruth Chris, and she wanted to go to um you know, I don't know, some other restaurant, and she just got mad and put hands on him. I can't imagine that she just lost her cool because he was looking or talking to another woman at a party. Doubt that. So, but that's what they're trying to do. They're already trying to discredit Cassie by Diddy's argument is Me Too. Okay, he's using the Me Too movement. Okay, I'm a victim too. I don't think anyone's going to look at or even believe that Diddy is a DV victim, but that's what he's trying. The week before, it was blame it on the alcohol. It was the drugs and the alcohol made me do it, right? I had diminished mental capacity. And they were actually going to bring in a physician that was going to argue. Now, this physician had never, this particular physician had never even examined Diddy or even spoken to him, just based on what it was known was going to say that, yes, he did not have mental capacity when committing these crimes because he was under the influence. Nice try.
resolution for prostitution and Diddy can do it. Combs' mother and several of his adult children were in court to support him today.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there have been many cases of women who really have committed domestic violence against their partner. And see, you know, some women will play off of the double standard of, you're not, a man is not supposed to put his hands on a woman. And so sometimes you have some women who will take advantage of that. I've heard men being, scratched, cut, bit, kicked, punched, uh things thrown at them, in a jealous rage or in an angry fit. And so absolutely men can be the victims of domestic violence. I mean, we all, many of us have seen the movie Misery, and if you've never seen the movie Misery, oh boy, prepare yourself. Okay, I don't think any of us were ever the same after watching Misery, but you do have some women who do commit domestic violence against their partners. I just don't believe that anyone is going to believe that Diddy was really a victim. They might see it as self-defense. They might see it as Cassie lashing back because she was just tired of it all. Slowrilla has entered the chat, said hello, Wisdom's daughter, and everyone. Hello, Slowrilla. Thank you for joining the chat. Someone else in the chat said that their son was cut in the face and abused by their ex-wife. And this ex-wife ended up marrying his best friend, but still stalks him and his 1,000s and his thousands of Nikes away from her. Shaking my head. Wow. Yeah, you have some women that are absolutely insane, and it always seems to be the bad guy gets the good girl. All right, the bad girl gets the good guy. I don't know why it's always like a catch 22, kind of. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. But if you are the victim of domestic violence and you are a male, just know that there are resources out there. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. Oh, okay. Let me reread that comment. So her son was cut in the face and abused by his ex-wife. She ended up marrying his best friend and still stalks him from 1,000 miles away. Wow. Feel bad for the best friend. I guess he didn't believe his BFF when he told him that she was crazy. Like, how do you marry your best friend's ex-wife? I mean, isn't that like a violation of bro code? I'm just saying. But yeah, so Diddy fully intends to discredit Cassie Ventura, to say that, she also, was violent towards him, and he has the arrest records to prove it. I just, look at the two of them. Okay. She weighs what? She doesn't even look like she weighs 100 pounds. You know, we've seen Diddy in a jealous fit like rage. I don't think we've ever seen Cassie like that. I don't think that was really her personality. Okay. And then if they're ever able to find victim number 3 and she comes forward with her testimony once again, Diddy's legal team is going to have to pivot and figure out a new strategy, because just saying that, just claiming Me Too, I don't think that's going to be enough.
Alternate jurors will now decide if rap mogul Sean Diddy Combs is guilty of transportation, racketeering. Mother and several of his adult children were in court today to support him. Combs was in court as well, wearing a beige sweater, glasses, his hair visibly gray, and he listened intently as the jury was selected and as opening statements were made. Prosecutors say Combs coerced 2 women, his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, and another woman they called Jane, into dozens and dozens of what he called freak-offs.
All right, so what's being talked about, and this is just a repeat from earlier, just another update. Diddy's kids, or at least some of his children, are in court to support him. The jury selection is final. They have their 12 jurors and their 6 alternates. So jury selection has commenced. Diddy's children are in court. Again, he did change his clothes, so he's wearing glasses and a beige sweater. He's not allowed to have shoelaces, and so he's probably still wearing his slip-in loafers. And the prosecution wasted no time with their opening statement stating that he coerced Cassie Ventura, and another victim who's being called a Jane Doe into coerce them into participating in the freak offs. They are alleging that, contrary to what Diddy has said, that they were not consensual, not consensual. Uh, so that is what's happening right now. Opening statements are moving forward. And I'm sure Diddy is feeling pretty good that some of his kids were able to be there, because the first few days of the trial, no one was there. He even told the judge when, the judge was saying, listen, do we need to take a break right now? Can we just keep going? And Diddy raised his hand like, Judge, I'm a little nervous today. And he needed to excuse himself to the bathroom, okay, before he had an accident in the courtroom. So that's where we are. Not sure where the defense is with their opening statements, or if they've even had an opportunity to give their opening statement, but the prosecution is giving opening statements currently.
I guess I gotta go back. I don't even know. Great.
Just because
Oh boy,
Mayor Adams, somebody
there's our friend.
at Mayor Adams and asked Mayor Adams, Mayor Adams, you gave Sean Diddy Combs the key to the city.
Sure did.
Just because he's charged with something, does that mean, Mayor Adams, that he's guilty, Mayor Adams? Somebody asked Mayor Adams, who gave Diddy the key to the city.
They're tired of him. They done turned the volume all the way down. They are tired of him. Listen, that's New York City for you. But they should have let him speak. I mean, he sounds interesting. So again, just a quick update. Jury selection is finalized. The jury has been selected, and prosecution is currently giving opening statements. Okay. So for those of you who are wondering, okay, when are we going to get some details? It's going to take some time before we get any specific details. The details are coming. They're just coming very slow. And so this is going to be an all-day process.
So I don't even know if they're back in or if they went to break. They probably went to break while I was doing this. So now we'll go to break. Yeah, they said it was only 30 minutes, but they didn't exactly say that. They didn't set the time yet. So I guess they might. I'm checking. So I might just have to go back in. Right. Yeah, they said they were going to do a short break now because they want to make sure it wraps up on time.
Makes sense.
The whole trial, but just trying to see. Okay. Bless you. All right, I'm gonna go back in, I guess. Yeah, be careful.
You don't engage with a fucker like this.
So it sounds like they're probably on a break, a short one anyway. I mean, it's almost 1 o'clock. They have to allow people to, grab some quick lunch, get water at least, get a breather. So that makes sense. They're probably on lunch. Now, Judge Subramanian is not going to want to be on a break too long. And I have to find this clip that I have of Judge Subramanian. Now, he, you know, if you saw him walking into the courtroom, he looks like an NYU student. He's got his headphones on, he's got his backpack on, he's got his little tan jacket, you know, his little Converse sneakers. I mean, you wouldn't even recognize him. I believe they said that he's in his 40s, like early 40s or something like that, or late 30s. I mean, he's young. He is very young. So yeah, that was interesting. All right, let's see if they're gonna give any kind of an update. She's standing there like she's ready to do something. So let's see.
I don't need that. You don't need that feed? Okay. I don't know who you're feeding her out to. Put a hard line, not that. Hard line. Okay. All right. I don't know what that. I don't know what who that needs. All right. All right. Trust me, yes. Here you go.
All right, thanks. Thank you.
I gotta go.
No, go do your thing. Thank you. I should put my back a little bit more because this light's gonna be really bad.
Okay, you want to shift a little bit?
Yeah. Just tilt the camera. That's fine. Let me know when you're hot.
He's hot. He been hot. All right, update
Okay.
time.
Hey, everybody. You good? I'm good. Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Lisa Evers. I'm a reporter with Fox 5 News here in New York. I just came from the courtroom where the Sean Combs trial has started and is underway. And I just wanted to give you a little update of what happened this morning because we're not allowed to have electronic devices inside the courtroom. And I just took a break now for lunch. So about 9:35 this morning, and I'm reading from my notes here. Court was called to order by Judge Arun Subramanian. And basically the first assignment that they had to do, the first thing they had to do today was get that jury set. So they went through reading back and forth from prosecution to defense, which numbers of jurors would be struck by either side to get down to that number of 12 regular jurors and then of course, the 6 alternates. So that went through pretty routinely and everything went as planned until the close of that particular session or section of the hearing today, where the judge said, does anyone have any applications? Meaning, do they have anything else that they want to bring up? So the defense, Mark Agnifilo, who's the lead defense attorney for Sean Diddy Combs, he stood up before the court after consulting with him, with Mr. Combs, consulting with the other members of his defense team, and said, Your Honor, the prosecutors have struck 6 jurors who are Black, and we feel that were being struck solely on the basis of their race, and that they were trying to get those jurors back in consideration, apparently. So the judge then turned to the prosecution and said, what is your response? The prosecutor stood up, the lead prosecutor, and she said, Your Honor, we have been fair and impartial in all of our jury selections. She said, we have a very diverse jury pool. We have a diverse jury that is being selected. And she said, in regards to those 6 particular individuals who were struck from the jury pool, there were valid reasons for each and every one of them. And those reasons being somebody that was too close to Mr. Combs, who had once worked for one of his companies, who knew his kids. That was one. Another was an individual who had done time on crime, had negative views of law enforcement. Another person who had basically had a similar situation with law enforcement where he was being talking about that he was anti-cop. And then there was another person of that 6 who had serious English proficiency deficiency. So he couldn't really even understand when they were giving him the instructions and screening him. And that was why he was struck. So after the judge listened to that, he said, I am denying the application by the defense. Those jurors remain struck.
let's take a 5-minute break and bring everybody back in and then swear the jury in. So that's what happened. They took a 5-minute break. They came back, and then around 10:30ish or so, they started. The first thing is the judge brings the jury in. They're sworn in, and then the judge gives the jury various notes and various things that they have to abide by. Basically, what the rules are being a juror. The number one, in this particular. In this particular case, being that they don't talk to other people, they don't engage on social media about any of the, anything that they hear in court or anything to do with the case at all. He set a schedule. This week, the schedule is 9:30 to 5. And then after this week, it will be on a tighter, shortened schedule, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And what they're going to do to make sure to try to get the jurors in here early is have a breakfast for the jurors in the jury room at 8:30. So after he finished with the instructions, they went right away to, I'm just looking for my time in my notes here. So they went right away into opening statements at about 10:35 Eastern time this morning. The prosecutor pointed to Sean Diddy Combs, who was sitting there. He's wearing a light colored sweater, white shirt. His family members, his mother was in court today. The older children were there. He's got 7 children. The 7th is the little baby Love. The others many of the others were in court today with him as they were earlier on. And the judge said that this is Sean Combs. We're going to prove to you that he has been committing crimes for 20 years. And then she went in on that and basically just kept coming back again. It's very, very clear that most of their case rests on the testimony of his ex-girlfriend of 11 years, Cassie Ventura. That's how she was known. She's now known as Cassandra Fine. That's her married name. She married Alex Fine, who was a trainer for Diddy and for her. They have 2 children. She's very pregnant with her 3rd child. So the whole prosecution defense for the prosecution's case for all of these crimes is basically that they have to, that he was committing these crimes, that he was trafficking these women, that even though they were his girlfriend, that they were forced into it. And that element of force is very, very important to prove in terms of coercion and in terms of the sex trafficking. So basically, they just kept coming back. They went through item by item, and the prosecution is very clear where the line is going to be drawn here. The prosecutor is saying this is not a case about a celebrity's private sex life. This is a case about 20 years of committing felony crimes, and the crimes of course, sex trafficking, including assault and lots of other things, and basically how he was allegedly forced women to do what he wanted to do and then resorted to beating. So that basically the prosecution's case is, this is not about a man's private sex life. This is about using his vast business empire, his unlimited resources to fuel this trafficking that was going on during these freak-offs. Okay, so then let me just get to the defense, because I'm going to have to get back in there. It's a mob scene going through security. They have everybody mixed in from all different cases, and kind of a big mess. But I want to make sure I get back in there. So I'm looking for the defense notes. So the defense case was presented by Agnefello's co-counsel, Tenny Garagos. She is the daughter of famous defense attorney Mark Garagos. And she basically, her opening statement is, this is about consensual relationships. That's what she's saying about all of it. She says it's time to cancel the noise. She said that Sean Diddy Combs came from little, but built lawful businesses, that he made every dollar himself. He's charismatic. People wanted to be around him. And her thing is clearly going to be, the defense case is clearly, they're basically saying, you may not like what he does, you may not like how he operates, but these cases, the beating, for example, in the hotel hallway that you saw, that beating was really about an example of domestic violence. He says this case is about, Combs' personal, private sex life, which you may not like, but it is no racketeering enterprise. So that's basically where they're drawing the line in the sand between the prosecution saying that this was an ongoing enterprise, that he used his money from his companies, which gives him the racketeering piece of this. He used money from his companies, his inner circle of employees for his companies, to help fuel these marathon sex orgies called freak-offs, and also even had employees buying drugs and participating in the cover-up of the things that happened there. The defense is saying, listen, this is domestic abuse. He's not a perfect man. She even said he's a many-woman man. A lot of this case is all about jealousy, and basically creating her opening statement, describing it as almost like a novel. You know, this is about jealousy. All of this is about jealousy. Mr. Combs is a very jealous person, and that this is really about domestic abuse. And that if it were what they said, if these women were forced, why do they keep going back to them? And you can expect the defense to be presenting, which they said they will be presenting, text messages and emails in court that from both women, from both Cassie and the victim number 2, who is identified only as Jane, who was in a relationship with Sean Combs very recently in the last several years, that show that they wanted to be with him, that they were in a relationship with him, and that this is relationship abuse. It's domestic abuse. It's a toxic type of relationship fueled by drug use as well, and that's essentially what this is all about. And their idea is, yeah, he's not the greatest guy in the world. He did some very foul things, and he's a domestic abuser, but he's not a sex trafficker, and he's not a racketeering, a kingpin, like we've seen the racketeering cases used in cases like El Chapo and people of that nature who had these illegal businesses, particularly with drug dealing cases. But anyway, that's the latest from this morning. As you can see, quite a scene here outside 500 Pearl Street in Lower Manhattan. I'm going to go back in and get online and get upstairs into the room. And that's the latest here from New York City. You guys have a great day. We'll be bringing you more. Follow me on Twitter, but follow Instagram. I'll be posting tonight at Lisa Evers. Official TikTok, Lisa Evers Live, and of course, Fox 5 NY and Fox Local here in New York. We got it all for you, okay? Have a great day.
Oh, don't drop the microphone. Okay. So that was a really great update in terms of what's happening. Like I told you earlier today, Diddy's defense is that it was all consensual. Okay. That's his defense. It was all consensual. So the 12 jurors have been selected. That's a done deal. Although there was some concern that there were jurors that were excluded, and it was said that it was because of the color of their skin. Well, pretty good arguments were made as to why those jurors were being excluded. But Diddy's defense is that it was all consensual, that in terms of the video that you saw, that was about domestic violence, not about RICO, and that this shouldn't be a RICO case. It shouldn't be racketeering. Yeah. So that's what they're going with. That is what they were going with. It was consensual. Well, now they have the burden to prove that it was, or make it easy for the prosecution to prove that it wasn't. If you have several people saying that it was not consensual, I was coerced, this is not something that I wanted to do, I made that, very clear. I was given drugs and under the influence and forced to drink. All right, looks like we may have another update.
And when Sean Combs walks out of that courtroom, we going to war.
Dennis, you need to interview this guy that is screaming right across the street from you. Dennis is on Baxter Street. He was interviewing somebody a minute ago. Now, if you were to walk right in between the tree and the gray building and just go straight on through, there's like the police blockade from I think it's 1 or 2 Federal Plaza. But again, you would hit some of those residential buildings I told you about. All right, so I thought we were getting an update, so I'll just continue on with what we just heard. That reporter was very flustered. Honestly, it was a hot mess. Okay, I think any one of you in here could have probably done a better job. But I'm thankful for the information, so I'm not going to complain. But that was an absolute train wreck. But yeah, so that's Diddy's defense. Diddy's defense is that it's that it was consensual. His defense is that in terms of the video, that was not a bad moment. Diddy is ultimately saying that you may not like my lifestyle, but my lifestyle is not criminal. Well, if you have a lifestyle that includes drugging people in order to get them to comply with what you want them to do, then that's criminal. Okay. If you've got cameras everywhere capturing footage that you use to blackmail people later, well, then that's criminal. Just saying. If you are putting narcotics that are known to cause temporary paralysis and you're putting that inside baby oil and using the that as a method to um, as a method of absorption to force a drug upon someone that will cause them to lose their capacity to consent, well, then that's a crime. I'm not sure how the defense plans to get around that, but just saying that it was consensual, you're gonna have to come with something better than that. So during opening statements, the prosecution claimed that Diddy used his business to coerce women into drug-fueled encounters, employing violence and blackmail, as I stated. Diddy's lawyers are arguing that the case misrepresents consensual relationships as sex trafficking, asserting his lifestyle was indulgent but not criminal. Cassie, Diddy's former girlfriend, will testify early in the trial about the alleged abuse, along with a number of other victims. So there was a question in the chat, and the question is, where did you hear? It says, where did you hear not about baby oil? So early in the investigation, if you remember, there was a raid on Diddy's LA mansion, his Miami mansion. They didn't even talk too much about the New York mansion. But anyway, they confiscated large quantities, abnormally large quantities of baby oil. And there were a number of victims that claimed that Diddy would often squirt them with an oily substance, after which they would lose their ability to move their body or, lose mental capacity. There were a number of victims that described, and this is all public record. Okay, you can log on to Pacer, you can set up an account, put in your card number, and you can purchase the court documents with the affidavits of victim statements and several, or you can just Google, alleged, baby oil or victims talking about baby oil Diddy. Just Google that, and you'll see there were a number of victims that talked about having an oily substance thrown on them, and there were suspicions that there may have been a certain narcotic that was put into the baby oil because it is tasteless, it does not have a smell, and baby oil works as a carrier oil. Okay, so Tough Media Productions, do your research. Okay, I can't give you everything, but if you're a media production company, Google and schmoogle it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, it's never been confirmed that there was baby oil, that there was any kind of narcotics in the baby oil. That's why I said if there was, okay? But when you have, and this is all alleged, even the victim's testimony is alleged. Even what Diddy is saying back is alleged. It will stay alleged until it's been proven in court. But you have a number of victims that feared that there was something in the baby oil, because why were they being splashed or forced to rub an oily substance onto their skin? What was the purpose of that? If you're going to SA somebody or you're going to engage in certain activities and you put baby oil all over their body, it's going to make it a little bit difficult. Okay, and quite dangerous. And if you've ever fooled around with baby oil thinking you were going to be sexy and slipped and fell, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so yeah, that's where we are with that. And I don't care what you're interested in. This is what I'm choosing to report on.
It's gonna be two of us, and we're going to war. We're going to war. My government name. I'm gonna show you my ID.
Uh-oh. So our friend in the background.
U.S. government. My father, not only did he fight the Vietnam War, he got left the Vietnam War, was in the U.S. Air Force for 20 plus years, left the U.S. Air Force, and then was an ROTC instructor for the U.S. Air Force.
This guy, apparently the police got involved because he mentioned something about his ID. He's being asked for his ID.
And I am a product of the U. I am the number one enemy. I am the public enemy.
He said he's the public enemy. He's going to end up in handcuffs if he don't stop. That's all I got to say.
I did that. First off, because if my father's not the president, Sean Diddy Jones is going to be the president, and he has to go through a trial. You have to go through a trial, and you have to do
Did he just say that Diddy is going to be the president? I can't with this guy.
he was an honorable man. Put his ass through the mud, but he came out without smoke. He went through the furnace and didn't come out like it was under my smoke. Then he said, I've been through it. Then you gotta go through it. Once you go through it, then you know. Then you know. Who the fuck the enemy is.
So it looks like, I could be wrong, but it looks like so it looks like Dennis might have been streaming the guy that was losing his mind. So we're having an issue with whatever he was trying to show. There's no sound and something happened with the video. But yeah, but we got a glimpse of the guy that is yelling and disrupting the peace. He said he's public enemy number one. He is a peace disruptor. That's what he said. We expected the craziness and the crazies.
If they find him guilty, I'm telling him to get it. White boy. Diddy is found guilty.
Now, see, if this guy starts threatening people while he's out there, it will become a problem, okay? Because he's out there talking about if Diddy don't walk out. And something happened with Dennis Byron's live. It just ended, so there was an issue. But I believe he was captured. I think we do have a little picture of the guy. So if you guys are interested, you can check that out. Yeah. Mm. I wonder what else Diddy's defense team is going to come up with, because that's not a whole lot to build your defense on, that this was consensual, especially if there is video evidence out there to suggest, or if any of these attacks were caught on film, if there are any pictures, if there's any evidence. I mean, the discovery hasn't been disclosed, so we don't know what they have. Okay. We don't know if it was confirmed or not for sure, for certain, that there was not, that there was not some other method that Diddy was using to administer these drugs. Was he was putting his victims on IV drips. So is it possible he might have been administering drugs to them, through the IV, and they're thinking that they're just getting saline and he's pumping them full of more drugs? We don't know. We don't really know. We'll find out as we hear from the various victims, but this is going to be a very long trial. I'm not certain that they're going to be able to wrap this up in 8 weeks. It's possible. It's quite possible, but his team is going to have to come up with something better than it was consensual. They're going to have to come up with better than I'm a domestic violence victim as well, because I don't believe any of the jurors are going to see that. I don't know how they can read it. I'm pretty sure they're going to read the victim statements in court. I don't know how they can read any of that and rule not guilty in some way, shape, or form. So we will see. But make sure you guys check out the channel. I posted a short and a video earlier today, and there's one legal commentator and lawyer saying that Diddy has an 80% chance of being convicted of his crimes, because this court, the Southern District of New York, and this particular federal court, they have a 98% conviction rate. 98%. Now, that does not include, or that is including those with who went in with a guilty plea. And of course, we know at this point that Diddy has said that he's not guilty. He's entered a not guilty plea, but an 80% conviction rate is what we've seen, or 98% conviction rate is what we've seen out of this court. And if we minus those without a guilty plea, and we don't have the exact numbers, but based on what lawyers have seen from this court, they're saying it's about an 80% chance. Those are huge numbers. And honestly, the feds typically don't bring a case against someone unless they're certain that they're going to win. So we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you. Thank you, Galatians Queen. And I pray that, all is well, that you get there. They're able to do what they need to do to assist you, and that, you don't have any issues of fraud, and all of your money is where it's supposed to be. I appreciate the gifts. Don't even worry about it. Take care of you. Okay. I know that is very frightening and very nerve wracking. And so, and if someone does find it, I hope that they just, cut it up, discard it, if they don't have a way of finding out who it belongs to, right? So yeah, that's what Diddy's going with. Last week it was mental health. This week it was consensual. You may not like my lifestyle, but it was consensual. Gonna have to do better than that, Diddy. Gonna have to do better than that. Okay, awesome. Okay, great. Technology is awesome. I forgot you can do that right from the app. You can shut the car down right from the app. So that's good. That is good. So, all right. Well, keep watching. Stand by. There is more to come. All right, so again, if you guys are just kind of popping in, um, Diddy's defense is it was consensual. That's it. That's it. Nothing more. Nothing to see here, folks. You know, consenting adults, because people would actually consent to, you know, sleeping with S workers and doing all the nasty things that he was having them to do, drinking and doing drugs to the point that they had to be on IV drips, and they would consent to doing this sometimes 2 and 3 days in a row, because that makes a whole lot of sense. And he is alleging that in terms of the domestic violence, that yeah, you know, there was domestic violence on both sides. You know, that's how they say, on both sides, right? That's what Diddy's alleging. I think he's gonna have to come up with something much better than that, honestly, if he has any chance of being able to win this trial. So let's hear for some others and what's being said.
Cooperating witnesses, I would have to imagine, if they're going to have his staff and people who are around him. But obviously, their incentive to testify against him now will be a prime material for cross-examination. So as we wait for these live updates to come into court, I've got a great question here from Mohican 161. And it goes to a question I didn't have a chance to ask Elizabeth yet, but she might not have the answer because we haven't seen any evidence come into the courtroom yet. But will Puff's children see the videos if they present it in court? Let's enlarge that question. This jury is going to see videos of freak-offs. Is everyone in the gallery going to see the videos, or are they going to have private screens and the witness is going to have private screens and all we're going to hear is the testimony regarding that video? How does it work when you deal with sensitive material like this?
In every case I've ever had, you know, the jurors certainly will have private screens, but it'll be shown to the entire courtroom.
Really?
It's a public courtroom.
Wow.
It's a public courtroom, and unless there has been some type of order issued, sometimes things can be really graphic. Sometimes, you know, there can be agreement among the parties that it not be demonstrated. But I've never had a case where it's not shown to the courtroom. And depending upon your vantage point, you may have a better look at some of the, you know, the video footage than others. There's no requirement that they make it easy for the gallery to see, but I've never seen a case where they exclude it from the gallery. It's evidence. It'd be be like bringing in a gun and handing it to a witness and not letting the jurors see the gun. It's part of the case. It's part of the trial. If you're in the courtroom, you should be able to see it.
You've got a question from Moko Halstead. And by the way, just giving everybody live updates. The jury was brought back into the room. Combs was brought back into the courtroom. They're starting their afternoon session now. The judge said there was an issue regarding the exhibit with an added note. There was an objection, was well taken. It's going to be excluded. Not really sure what that's about. So the jury's back in. All rise. Now, the first thing they're doing when the judge asked, is the government ready to call its first witness? AUSA, the Assistant United States Attorney, so we're talking about a prosecutor here. First, we enter 4 exhibits. The defense, no objection. That's standard. So we have the introduction of exhibits, I guess, before witness testimony. How does that work?
Sure. I mean, they'll enter the exhibits by stipulation sometimes, and they've obviously stipulated to the exhibit so they can just get right to it with the witness. It might be video, it might be maps, it might be any number of things, documents, but they're getting that in before the witness actually takes a stand. It's not unusual in federal cases at all.
So got a question here, a super chat question. Thank you so much from Nest Dog. Where's Christina Quorum? Will she be a witness? Now, this was, by all accounts, Combs' former chief of staff. She has come up in other litigation before. The allegation being she knew what was going on, was a part of it. I don't know if she's going to be a witness in this case. But what do I remember in opening statements today? I remember reading they use the term chief of staff or chief of staffs. Makes me wonder, she's probably going to be a witness, no?
I would think she would be, unless she's got some Fifth Amendment prohibition. She may have asserted the Fifth before a grand jury. She may have a lawyer saying, I'm not going to put her on the witness stand without immunity. If the government didn't grant her immunity, if she felt like she needed it, she might not be a witness. If she has no exposure, Fifth Amendment exposure in the case, and simply as a fact witness, there's nothing preventing them from calling her. You know, government, though, is only going to call witnesses that are going to help their case. It's only in unusual circumstances where they'll call a reluctant witness. And that's usually out of necessity. And they may not have that necessity here. So if she's not a reluctant witness and she doesn't have any Fifth Amendment implications, you'll probably see her.
You want to know who the first witness is of the Sean Combs criminal trial, Brian?
Go ahead.
We are going to call LAPD officer Israel Flores. Now, he comes in, says, I'm a reservist for the Army. I was a guard with Securitas in 2016 in the Intercontinental Hotel near Century City. What happened on March 5th, 2016? I was told of the 6th floor. So they are starting with arguably the most important piece of evidence in this case. Are they not? Are they starting now with the video of Sean Combs purportedly beating Cassandra Ventura?
There they are. They have come out and they decided we're going to come out with a home run. And the idea behind it is pretty simple. Let's now poison this jury with evidence that they'll never, ever, ever forget. Let's start this game, for lack of a better way to describe it, 10-0 in the first inning. And it's a smart play because it's going to be the first thing these jurors see. And they're going to see this again and again, by the way, before this trial's over. Well, what a first impression. And think about it in terms of life. First impressions are sometimes the most important ones.
Let me tell you why I think this is so brilliant. In the scheme of this whole timeline, when Cassandra Ventura came out with her allegations, a lot of people looked at it and said, how do we know it's true? You know, another person accusing high-profile celebrity. How do we know it's true? When that video came out, it not only corroborated a section of her complaint where she talked about this, some would feel it corroborated everything she said. So if the jury sees this first and then she testifies, what a great move by the prosecution. And that, at least my opinion, Brian. But here, I got another question for you. This is from Roger Wade. Oh, Roger, thank you so much. Super chat question. Thank you so much for your contribution. How crucial is Combs' apology going to be regarding the validity of the hotel video? Well, can't deny it's him.
You know, listen, there's some things, you know, you can accept an apology for. This isn't going to be one of them. No one's going to really care that he apologized. I think what the defense has already started to do and what they will continue to do is eat this and simply say, listen, yeah, if this was a state court prosecution for domestic violence, he would have pled guilty. He's already said he's sorry. He did that. He's not a racketeer, and this isn't a racketeering conspiracy.
Yeah, it was interesting when they were talking about the videos, right? Should the CNN video come in? Should other versions of it come in? What's accurate? What's not? There was an argument brought forward by the prosecution saying, you want to talk about authenticity of the tape? Sean Combs admitted it was him in his Instagram apology. That's authenticity right there, which again begs the question, why on earth he decided from a legal point of view it was a good idea to make that video. I still don't know, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, hindsight's a great thing. I don't think he ever saw this coming. But there's no way to get around the video. The question is, what does the video mean in the context of these charges? And I'll say this. I love the move. I love the fact that they're starting with it. But unless they're going to also end with it, if this is a 2-month trial, a lot can happen in 2 months.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, I want to confirm this for sure. But I think that one of the reasons they might also bring this witness in, right, is to establish that he bought the tape and he was trying to cover up his crime. And maybe it was a sense of one of those underlying predicate crimes they have to prove for racketeering conspiracy. So not only do they not only get the attack, they get the cover up, which is another essential element of racketeering.
You know, as I listened to what was being described in the opening speeches, I thought that was huge.
Yeah.
Because it's manipulation. He's not only manipulating people, he's manipulating evidence. He's the puppeteer. And I think you're absolutely right. I think they're going to go down that road really, really hard, that he threw money at cover up, that he threw money at covering evidence, at covering witnesses. And that has a big impact on jurors. You know, the everyday person sees that, and you know, you're not covering up innocent behavior. You're not covering up non-criminal behavior.
Yeah.
And it's significant evidence.
Well, Tenny Garagos, who's his defense attorney, in her opening statement said, on bribery, This is about the Intercontinental Hotel. He paid a security guard to make the footage go away. This was solely to prevent bad publicity for Combs and for Cassie. There was no law enforcement investigation. What do you think about that?
Well, you got to be careful with that, because I'm not so sure that's true. If it is true, then it's a great argument. But it begs the question, the reason that there's no law enforcement investigation, because the tape went away and you shut her up. So if I'm the prosecutor, I'm going to have a lot to say about that, that it was everything about getting rid of evidence so he would not go to jail on a state court domestic violence case. And it would also allow the government to say, I heard the defense up here talking about how this is domestic violence. Well, there's a reason it didn't get prosecuted, because he got rid of all the evidence and he shut her up. So, it's going to go back and forth like this for 2 months.
It really is. It really is. And we just got an update from court. So Mr. Flores says, and again, first witness of the Sean Combs trial. This is somebody who had worked at the Intercontinental Hotel as a security guard. He's currently a LA police officer. So he was a security guard at the Intercontinental back in 2016. He says, there I recognize Sean Combs. He is there wearing a gray sweater. The prosecutor asks, what was your title? He replies, Assistant Director of Security. The prosecutor says, let me show you a photo of the Intercontinental Hotel. The Flores says it's shaped like a pyramid, and that exhibit has been admitted. So they're using him to lay a foundation for some of the evidence that's going to be put forward here. I have a question from Alicia Velgos. Is Jennifer Lopez being subpoenaed? Probably unlikely, right?
I can't imagine.
Because what would be the value of her testimony? What would she say?
I don't think that's going to happen. It'd be great for us, but I don't think that's going to happen. It certainly wouldn't be great for Ms. Lopez. So I wouldn't anticipate. I think we would have heard about that one loud and clear pre-trial if that was happening.
It seems that the prosecution wanted to be very specific with how they charged this. I mean, if you look at all of the allegations Sean Combs has been facing in the last 2 years, year and a half, if they wanted to potentially charge him with everything into one case, I think we would need years to get through it. They're very specific in what they charged him with, and also what they didn't charge him with, and who they're going to call and who they're not going to call, right?
Yeah, and you don't want to open up the door to weak evidence or to weak allegations. You do it like they've done it with a silencer as opposed to a shotgun, because when you do it broadly and you do it with a kind of a broad-based brush, the defense can have a ball with it, cutting it to pieces. I think the way they've charged it is smart. Whether they've overcharged it with racketeering, we're going to find out.
Got a question from Vanessa. How long do you think the trial will last? We believe it's going to be 8 weeks, which is a significantly long time. I mean, tough for a jury to sit on any case, let alone a high-profile case like this, let alone with the evidence they're going to be seeing. 8 weeks. That's no wonder you needed 6 alternates, right?
I'm going to say something, though. We got a jury this morning. They opened, were into witnesses. I've had experiences, a lot of experiences in federal court as opposed to state court. Everybody has the mind and memory of the Simpson trial, which, lasted forever. It was a state court prosecution. Federal court cases don't go like that. And sometimes when they estimate 8 weeks for a federal case, suddenly 8 weeks turns into 6. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little less than the time period they're projecting.
Well, we'll see. They're going to be taking off for certain holidays as well and things like that. And obviously there could be some issues that delay trial. 8 weeks, long time. Question from Kaylee. Sorry, I'm mispronouncing it. My question is if Sean Combs is found guilty, what does that mean for all that have been implicated? Do they get charged? Now, that's going to be the first time, Brian, that we see a prosecution of one individual first that potentially leads to the arrest and indictment and prosecution of other people.
Yeah, you do see it. You see it in cases where people are convicted and then they roll on other people. I don't envision that here. They had plenty of time to make decisions about charging other people. Unless something happens during this trial in the way of additional evidence coming in or witnesses making declarations that weren't anticipated, I'd be stunned if we got more people prosecuted out of this, unless there was some kind of effort made on the part of Diddy after the fact, if he were to be convicted, to cooperate. which
By
I
the
don't
way-
anticipate at all.
By the way, Brian, the reason we're having this in-depth conversation right now, as the court is in session, and we're providing live updates. There are no cameras in federal court. Why are there no cameras in federal court? Why is there no audio generally permitted in federal court? What's the rationale here when you have state courts across the country that do permit it?
Yeah, and I practice in a state court that doesn't. The federal courts just universally have a belief that cameras in the courtroom can have a disastrous effect on juries and courtroom proceedings. That jurors can be compromised, that jurors can be exposed to things that they shouldn't be exposed to, and they're very protective of the jury system. The flip side of it is these are public trials, and particularly in cases like this where the public cares about it and wants to know, I've always had the view that they ought to be able to see it because people can be distrustful. And sometimes things happen behind closed doors that, jurors may benefit from the fact that there isn't any cameras, but people, the citizens, don't. So I don't think we're ever going to see it change. I wish it would. And for those state courts that don't have it, like Pennsylvania, I wish they would put the cameras in there so everybody can see how the sausage is made.
And we could see more of Brian McMonagle, because who doesn't want that at the end of the day? We all want to see Brian McMonagle a little bit more.
Well, that would be the reason not to, perhaps, but
well,
my family would disagree with you.
So we have another update from court right now because it's currently in session. Just talked about no cameras. The prosecutor asked, what kind of incidents did you respond to? Again, this is the former security guard at the Intercontinental Hotel. Mr. Flores says all kinds. We had a couple of suicides there. We prepare incident reports, the 5 W's. The prosecutor says, would you attach photos to the reports? The response, yes, but not video. We did not have the password. Okay, so all laying up into the foundation of this alleged attack from Sean Combs against Cassandra Ventura. Here's something interesting. We have a poll up. Poll says, do you think the 2016 hotel video will be crucial to this case? 85% of the people who took this poll say yes. 15% say no. Now, crucial, ambiguous word about what that means. It's obviously going to have to be considered by the jury. I would say 100% has to be considered by the jury. But will it sway them to say Sean Combs is guilty or not? I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
Well, it makes him a bad guy. And, a lot of jury trials are tried with people who are celebrities who don't have that kind of baggage that, you don't have to think, well, wow, he did this, he did that. Maybe he's not the great guy we think he is. Well, this is a bad guy. I mean, this video paints him as a bad guy. And when you're in the defense camp like I am and you're defending a case, it stinks to start with, I got a bad guy sitting next to me, because if he's a bad guy, maybe he's capable of everything the prosecution says he is. Having said that, I think the defense is going to work really, really hard to call this what it is. It's bad conduct. It's a criminal charge in state court. We're in federal court. They've made a federal case out of a guy who's committed state court assault.
Yeah. Violence, not sex trafficking. Two separate things. Yep. That's what they're going to be argument is. We've got a question, a super chat question from G Disney. Thank you so much for your contribution, G Disney. Really appreciate it. What reforms, industry-wide or legislative, should be proposed to prevent replication of similar abuse by other powerful figures? It's an interesting question. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, I don't think there's going to be any legislation, but, guilty verdicts will have that effect. And, if at the end of this trial, there's a guilty verdict, and we discussed another pending case that's going on now with some rather wealthy folks, it tends to send messages. It tends to clean up bad behavior. A guilty verdict in this case, I think, would go a long way toward that. Whether there's ever going to be legislation on this, I mean, what legislation could you impose? You either make conduct criminal or you don't. Could you add different crimes to the crime code? I suppose you could, but the government would tell you, we've already got the crimes on the books, and that's why we prosecuted them for it.
One of the questions I keep getting asked constantly about this case, I don't think anybody's asked it yet today, is will Sean Combs take the stand? He did it in his last trial so many years ago, the nightclub shooting, very different circumstances. You think he'll take the stand this time around?
I don't. And that's just a gut reaction. I think he's got too much to answer for. And I think what we're seeing with the defense in this case is just a kind of a clinical attack on the elements of the charges. I think if he got up there and testified, he'd be subjected to some significant cross-examination. And, once a client testifies, you lose control of the case. You lose control of him. And while I'm sure he's a very eloquent guy and a smart guy, if I'm cross-examining him, I'd spend the first, I don't know, hour replaying the video while he's on the witness stand without even asking him a question. Not so sure they want to put him through all that.
We have an earlier question. Sorry I didn't get to it till now. From Render Token HODL. Was there any additional evidence brought to light? So maybe you mean during opening statements. I mean, look, there was a mention of Mia. They mentioned Cassie Ventura. Maybe new, maybe not. It does become a question, I think, and Brian, how much is going to be shown to this jury? What do I mean by that? Leading up to this case, everything was redacted. Everything was blacked out. Is it not going to be anymore? Are we going to know everything by the end of 8 weeks?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're going to have to unredact it, identities, etc. I mean, personal information, no, but, Social Security, that kind of factual, statistical information. But names, identities, you can't have a fair trial. You can't cross-examine witnesses without that material being redacted. So with the exception of, maybe some identifying information about bank accounts and things like that, all bets are off. It's coming in, it's getting unredacted.
We got a few more minutes here. I want to tell everybody what's been happening in court. Again, this former security guard at the Intercontinental Hotel is being questioned right now. First witness of this trial, of Sean Combs' criminal trial. Prosecutor asks, when did this incident take place? Mr. Flores says, 11 a.m. I got a report of a woman in distress on the 6th floor. I closed the security base and checked the cameras. There was an African-American man pacing back and forth. I didn't see a female. I rushed there. So again, going into this, remember why this is important, Brian, right? The prosecution saying this isn't just an episode of him beating her up. It's an episode where she was escaping a certain kind of situation. It's a characteristic, a symptom of a larger forced sexual pattern. And I understand why they're starting with it, but the defense has been saying this is just an unfortunate domestic spat, but this is a very, very particular situation. I have to tell the defense, I mean, for the prosecution's point of view, having him running there in a towel, the optics of that, it definitely helps their case, no?
It's staggering evidence, and it fits the narrative that they're trying to project for all the other charges. Coercion, physical coercion, it's mental coercion, it's all kinds of bad behavior, and it doesn't get worse than this. I mean, we've all seen videos with domestic violence in it. This is pretty bad. She's trying to get away. She's gotten away. She's at the elevator banks. And this guy has the insanity, the audacity to chase her down a hallway, wearing a towel, beat her up, drag her back. It doesn't get a whole hell of a lot worse than this, obviously short of a homicide.
Got a question from KC. Do you think Sean will try to throw other celebrities into the fire as well? I don't know. I don't think so. No.
I don't know where that gets them. Sinking ships. They try and sometimes drag other ships down. I don't see that here. He's got a brilliant defense team. They're going to make this an attack on the charges. I don't think that they're going to be pointing fingers at anybody else. He'll take what blame he has to take on what they have to take blame on, and they'll argue that there just has been an absence of evidence on what's important in order to prove racketeering. And I think a lot of this is going to be directed toward consent. They're going to call people prostitutes. They're going to call people escorts. They're going to say they were paid for their services. They're going to say they came there with eyes wide open, and that this isn't what the government has alleged.
Doesn't the defense have to be careful that how they cross-examine alleged victims, saying you're out it for the money, or you were heartbroken, or you kept coming back, or if you really did have an issue, how come you didn't go to authorities? We live in a different day and age, and beating up, I mean, that's not fair. Cross-examining these alleged victims can look like beating them up. And you have to be careful about that, right? I remember there was at least one juror, prospective juror this past week, who admitted they were excused from the jury. If I see a witness being questioned, an alleged victim being questioned about why they didn't report it at first, I'm going to understand it. I might side with them, right? And that shows a bias. But it does become a question of the technique and the manner in which they cross-examine these alleged victims. And I don't think it's a mistake that Tenny Garagos did the opening statement today as opposed to Mark Agnifilo.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, they have to be able to walk that fine line, particularly today, now that the pendulum has swung with obviously these movements. And having said that, you can't get up and attack somebody's credibility without attacking their credibility. You can't cross-examine people and try to suggest they're not telling the truth without attacking them on their veracity. And so you want to call it victim shaming, call it whatever you want. I don't care if it's a sexual assault case or an eyewitness to a murder. Either you're going to cross-examine them or you're not. And if you're not going to cross-examine them, you should have pled guilty, 4 or 5 days ago. So I think the gloves are coming off. I really do. And I think by putting, some of the lawyers they've put on this team who can have it both ways, they can say, hey, listen, I'm a woman. I'm the last person in the world to agree with domestic violence. I don't like what he did here.
Right.
But they charged him with a crime he didn't commit.
So giving everybody a final update from court, because we're going to have to be signing off in a minute. But what did you see on the 6th floor? Mr. Flores says, Mr. Combs in a towel and some like colored socks. He's a rapper, producer, and Cassie on the floor. Prosecutor says, let me show you some photos. And Combs was apparently in a tuxedo, and in a separate photo, Cassie Ventura is smiling. Listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do these live shows every day. That's our plan. We're going to be doing these live lunch shows every day. We are going to be doing daily sidebar recaps every night about what happened in court from that day. Particularly with no cameras or audio, we're going to do our best to recap all the important moments and also provide you legal analysis of what's happening, like with our great guest, Brian McMonigal, who was fantastic today, as he is always. Brian, thank you so much for coming on. It was great seeing you, and I know the audience and I really appreciate your insight into all this.
Jesse, thank you for having me. It's great to see you.
Great seeing you. Everybody, take care. We're going to be wrapping up. I'm Jesse Weber. Stick with us here at Law and Crime.
All right, so we're probably going to go ahead and break here. I'll be giving you additional updates throughout the day, so look out for those. And if you're not subscribed to Bad Girls Talk, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Make sure that if you didn't like the video on the way in, that you did like it on the way out as we close out this live. So you guys are getting it first in terms of what's happening play by play. And I'll be dropping a video with some additional updates shortly. So look out for that on Bad Girls Talk. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.